Hey everyone, Editing Bam here. Big trigger warnings for this episode. There's discussion of suicide and child sexual assault, so be warned. Also, bugs brought to my attention that I neglected to add quotes in my report, so I'll be adding them here in post to help give more of an impression of the writing. You'll hear a goofy slide whistle at these points. Enjoy the episode.
Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including but not limited to swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children.
Welcome to BiblioWrecks, where we read the worst stories the world has to offer, except for this month. We're only doing good stuff.
We're doing a Christmas fun thing.
Yay!
We deserve it.
We deserve it.
So we are calling this Bibli-Otomy because we are examining a book, and it is not necessarily a wreck.
Yeah, dissecting something good.
Yes.
That we like. So I'm doing You Were Never Really Here by Jonathon Ames.
Oh. That sounds vaguely familiar, but I haven't read it.
It's a movie.
Okay. Okay, maybe that's where I've heard about it.
Yeah. I'll be referencing the movie in a couple of spots, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter. I mostly just want to focus on the book.
Oh, okay.
Also, the movie has Joaquin Phoenix in it, and Joaquin Phoenix is good in that movie.
Oh, wow. So I'll have to watch that at some point.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Honestly, I don't know how to enjoy it without reading the book first.
You got a lot more out of it?
Yeah, you get a lot. Like, honestly, it just seems really confusing because Lily watched it before I did, and she didn't understand what the hell was going on. But after reading the book first and then watching the movie again, it made way more sense.
Oh, so maybe some got lost in translation then.
Maybe. Well, I feel like the director was just trying to be so incredibly subtle as to be incomprehensible.
Oh, and some got just missed.
Yeah, like I like the movie and I like the book, but I like them separately. Like some of the stuff in the book was done better, and some of the stuff in the movie was done better, I think. So
Cool.
So, we start with following a character named Joe, and the story takes place in New York. I think mostly in Albany, I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a limited omniscient narrator. So we're following Joe. Basically, throughout the story, we get to understand Joe better than Joe knows Joe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Joe has just finished a job that at first glance at the beginning of the story could be misconstrued as like a hit. Like he seems like kind of a hitman. What he's actually doing, he's working as an off-the-books sex crime specialist, basically. So basically, he's getting paid to do great violence to people in the sex traffic trade.
What?
And to save some of the victims. So.
Oh, okay. He's not out murdering prostitutes.
No.
The way you said that for a minute.
Yeah, I was trying to very carefully say what
He's
what
going
I was
after pimps.
Yeah, after
Okay.
pimps and
Traffickers. Okay.
So he's got a history of working in the FBI, but when he was in the FBI, he was working in the same field. And at one point, he came across 30 dead Asian women in the back of a truck. Quote, he found the 30 dead Chinese girls poisoned by carbon monoxide in the back of a refrigerated meat truck. If he'd gotten there 15 minutes sooner, just 15, they would have lived. What he saw was a Holocaust pile of young women, frozen in their terror, huddled as they were in the back of the truck, trying to hide from the hose that had been lodged at the front. It was then that the gears in his mind had turned on themselves. His limit for trauma, a very high limit, had finally been reached, and he went AWOL. The sex traffickers knew they were about to get caught, so they decided to stick the women in the back of a truck and suffocate them with the tailpipe.
Oh, God. So they wouldn't have witnesses?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So that fucked him up real bad.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
He went totally AWOL and just kind of secluded himself and kind of lived like sort of a hermit for a while until he started getting himself back. Mm-hmm. Now he works as a off the books sex crime specialist is what I'm calling it.
Gotcha. Okay. So he's kind of like Liam Neeson in that one where
Taken.
Yeah. Where it's like I have a certain set of skills and I don't have to face up to no government boss.
Kinda, except Joe is fucking crazy.
Well, Liam Neeson was a little crazy in that one too.
Not crazy like Joe is.
Oh, okay.
Joe goes to meet his handler after he finishes this job, and that's a guy named McCleary, and he's going to get paid and get set up for a new job. And this job is for a senator.
Okay.
His daughter has been kidnapped into sex slavery, and a mystery client of the a mystery client of the sex job stuff.
You need to very clearly explain what you're talking about, man.
I'm fucking it.
Yeah, try again.
Someone who got service through
A John.
Yeah.
A
mystery John.
Okay.
Messaged the senator and said, "Hey, your daughter's alive, and she's at this location. I'm super, super sorry."
Okay.
So this has given the senator some information as to where his daughter is. So now he's paying Joe to go and save his daughter and
get her back. Okay.
commit violence.
Right, against the people who held her.
Mm-hmm. So the thing about Joe as a character, he's really, really obsessive about this job. And he's very methodical and very meticulous. Mm-hmm. So after getting his gear from a hardware store, which is just a duct tape and a hammer.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And there's a very particular reason for the hammer. It's because it's scary.
Oh.
And that kind of gives him an edge. So he is like really sneaky, and he'll just kind of walk up on people. And right before he's about to get them, they'll see him, they'll see the hammer, and just out of fear, they'll just like freeze.
Oh, wow.
And the reason he picked the hammer is because his dad used a hammer on him. And he knows that's fucking scary.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ.
And as he's getting ready to do this job, he drives around the block for like hours just to get this one particular parking spot until he finally gets the correct one. And Joe is aware that he is like to some degree insane.
Okay.
Because he had like terrible, terrible abuse from his father.
Mm-hmm. So does he try to like manage it by directing it at this thing?
Yeah, sort of.
Kind of like Dexter or whatever.
Kinda, but also the way it's put in the story is that he is basically his own jailer and his own prisoner.
Gotcha.
So he keeps himself in like really rigid lockstep check by being so meticulous and compulsive.
Okay.
So he was severely abused by his father, basically being caned for a significant portion of his life, while also witnessing his mother being abused. Got abused so bad that eventually he came to the conclusion, oh, I must deserve this.
Oh, God.
And he just lives with that. Mm-hmm. Even at this point, and I think the characters are like 40s or something. At one point, Joe's father came at him with a hammer, and Joe passed out and pissed himself, and he woke up with his dad laughing at him.
Oh, so psychological torture, too.
Yeah, this kid is fucked up.
Jeez.
So his mother was equally abused, and until finally the father died of an alcohol-related illness. Mm-hmm. At this point, Joe had moved out. He went into the Marines and eventually came back home to his mother, so he lives with her now. But the relationship feels like really anemic to me. In the movie, I feel like it's much better established that the relationship is difficult. She's like a deaf woman who is slipping into senility, and he's an asocial, pent-up psychotic.
Right, who doesn't know how to deal with her. She never nurtured him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but it's the love that holds them together in the situation, even though it's difficult.
Right.
But in the book, it reads more like they're just two prisoners that just happen to have the same abusive jailer.
Oh, okay.
And now they're still just kind of hanging around.
Like there wasn't camaraderie there.
Right. Which I feel like was done way better in the movie. Mm-hmm. The point being that Joe's psychology keeps him on the ragged edge of suicide and murder, like, at all times.
Right.
So he'll just wake up immediately thinking about killing himself. Quote, Joe lay his head in his mother's house. He thought about committing suicide. Such thinking was like a metronome for him, always present, always ticking. All day long, every few minutes, he would think, I have to kill myself.
Wow.
And the only reason that he doesn't is because his mom's still alive.
Oh my God. Whoa.
And
you're going to have to do all the trigger warnings at the beginning of this book.
Yeah. So after he got out of the Marines and before he came home, he attempted suicide. He decided to not kill himself because he wants to leave absolutely no trace behind that he was ever there.
Oh.
Which is the title of the book.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So he also wants to wait until his mom is dead.
And he'll have no familial ties to the world at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's his entire thing. He's kind of just trying to do the most morally correct thing that he can because he believes that a lot of suffering stems from just him existing. Is his thought process, even though he doesn't really think of it in those terms. But
like he is so psychically damaged that every day is painful for him just to exist.
Mm-hmm. And he wants to like slip off into the ocean and like not leave a mess for somebody to like find. Because originally when he was going to kill himself, he just did it in a hotel room.
Mm-hmm. And then thinking, oh God, that'll cause more pain and anguish for somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like all I do is cause damage everywhere. Yeah. And this would be one way to not do that.
Right. So he's being really mindful about his suicide.
God.
So Joe Parks catches the off-duty security guy as he is leaving the brothel, and he does it like really smoothly. Joe disables the guy with like a throat punch.
Oh wow.
And while the guy's like bent over, he treats him like a buddy of his that just got too drunk or something like that, and like escorts him to a vehicle where he like locks him in really fast.
Wow.
And in the car, Joe interrogates the guy. Deep down, Joe like really wants to just kill this guy. Mm-hmm. Because he works in a brothel for traffickers, not like a morally defensible person. Mm-hmm. But Joe, this is really interesting to me. Joe forces himself to empathize with this security guy. Like, imagine the young guy's life and drinking with him in a bar and feeling insecure about his hair. So he just knocks him out and duct tapes him up, even though technically, he does it several times. Technically, in some of these situations, the smart decision would be just to kill the guy.
Mm-hmm. So is there a level of badness that someone has to be for him to straight up murder them?
No, for him, it's not like a morality level or anything like that. It's just, what do I have to do to get through this situation without, or to accomplish the mission and not die?
But he doesn't murder people even when it's expedient?
If it's a matter of like he has to kill them because it's the most effective thing to do in that moment. But if he can get away with not killing someone, he'll do that.
Okay, so he does have some ethical issue with just straight up random murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that Joe like empathizes with the people he might potentially have to kill, because that's a really fucked up thing to do. Like, generally
that
when
causes
people...
you more psychic damage.
Right.
That's more pain.
Like, that's how people kill other people, is they dissociate themselves from the person they're killing.
You have to turn that off to go willfully murder random people.
Mm-hmm. So Joe then goes inside, and he does kill these guys. He goes in and kills them with a hammer. Which is really intimate in the book, the murders that go on. Which I don't know how you could do it in a book without it being that intimate. But the movie made a point to show these scenes where he's like killing these guys with a hammer, which is just intrinsically incredibly violent.
So it's like really gory?
No, in the movie, it makes a point to show these scenes from like security footage.
Oh, so
you've
you're
got like
separate. You have a level of separation in the movie. But in the book, it's very up close.
Yeah, because that kind of distance is implied through Joe because he's not taking it personally.
So he doesn't empathize with these people.
I think it's just that he doesn't have time or it's just not effective in that moment.
Okay.
But there's a third guy. Sorry, I don't know why I'm really jittery.
I don't know. It was decaf.
Yeah, I think it's just a...
Being tired or cold?
No,
do you need a blanket?
It might be the cold. I'm not sure.
Do you want to go get you a blanket?
No, I'm okay.
Because if you feel shaky, it might make you more feeling that way, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm just amped up to for this because
Remember
I really like
when
this.
we first started podcasting and we would talk so fast and we would be like shaky fast because we were so like nervous.
Yeah, that's what I feel like I'm
I
sounding
know,
like
but
right
you
now.
haven't had an energy drink and it was decaf coffee, so
Yeah, it's fine.
it is cold up here.
It is cold. So Joe finds the girl he's looking for. Her name is Lisa. I don't think I brought that up, but
Okay, the senator's daughter.
yeah, she really isn't brought up a whole lot. Like she's really not like a full character in the story. But she is being sexually assaulted actively in this moment. And Joe pulls the rapist off of her and kicks his genitals into hamburgers. Like he specifically steps on the guy's testicles until they pop.
Oh, I don't even have those parts and I hurt.
Yeah, it is visceral.
Oh my God.
For that guy in particular, yeah, Joe got a little passionate with the murder.
Okay.
Understandably. So he smuggles the girl out and takes her back to the hotel where he met the senator originally. But Joe is suddenly held at gunpoint by some dirty cops. And the girl is re-abducted.
Right.
But Joe gets away with just a flesh wound. Joe really doesn't like fights. He, like, whenever he can, he avoids them because he's cognizant of the fact that you don't win every fight. So he's not, like, macho, I'm really good at fighting or whatever.
He's not cocky about it.
Right.
Right.
He's fairly confident in his skills, and wherever he can pick up an edge, he'll pick it up.
Right.
So on the run, Joe tries to piece together what all happened. He calls the senator's office to check and see if he's alive because at first he assumes that the senator is dead and he's just trying to piece it all together.
Right.
But he finds out that the senator is still alive. McCleary, his handler, won't answer his phone and Joe finds him dead in his office and his Rolodex of contacts missing.
Okay, so maybe the breach was at this handler.
Yeah, sorta. Like, his handler is the one that originally contacted the senator and gave the job to Joe. They were trying to dig up information on Joe. So this immediately terrifies Joe because this could link him back, or link them to his mother.
Right.
So he finally goes home and finds his mother laying in bed with a bullet through her eye.
Oh, so they did find her.
Yeah, they did find her. And Joe, like, has panic attacks throughout the story. For context, this is the moment that Joe was waiting to attack the senator's bodyguards. Quote, without warning, his mind betrayed him. He saw the burnt hole the bullet had made in his mother's head, and he was back in the room with her, lifting the pillow off her face. Then that moment kept repeating itself on a loop. He was blind in the real world. He couldn't see the car. He wasn't on the lawn. He was in her room, lifting the pillow, the scorched hole, her corpse. Like, it really affects him through the story, and it's very noticeable. that, this kind of ruins him. Like, he fucks up a couple of moments that he should be focusing on assassinating or breaking and entering.
Right. But sometimes you cannot actually manage self-control.
Yeah.
When these kind of things happen, you actually cannot.
Even though he's always kept himself in, like, rigid emotional control, he's just racked with so much feeling for his mother that, So I feel like that's really well done.
Yeah. And sometimes with regular action movies, I get so frustrated because it's like, you haven't slept for 48 hours, you're coming off the adrenaline, and you're not crying. Please have an actual human direct this, Like you cannot push yourself. Humans cannot go this long with this level of intensity without crashing.
Yeah.
And they actually sound like they show that in the book, which is really good.
Yeah, they really do. Which he is kind of on that ragged edge too, because he doesn't have time to sleep because he's got literally people after him, and like all he can do is like squeeze in a shower and just get like that little bit of relaxation instead of sleep. So Joe gives his mom a water barrel, sort of like the one he wants to give to himself.
Oh, a water burial.
Which is to say he wraps her up in duct tape and trash bags and throws her off a bridge.
Oh my God. Wow.
Which he thinks is really nice. So who am I to judge?
Okay. Yeah.
So then he hunts down the senator so that he can get some answers. Joe breaks in and makes the senator tell all. It turns out Joe had mostly figured out what was going on. At first, he thought the mob had kidnapped the daughter for political leverage, but it turns out the senator sold his daughter to the mob to finance his campaign.
Oh.
Yeah. So he literally sold her into sex slavery.
Jeez.
So it kind of turns out that it was sort of a bluff. Like, the mafia guy didn't want to work with this senator, so he came up with, like, the most ridiculous thing he could come up with, like, give me your daughter so I can sell her into sex slavery. And the senator thought that the guy was just trying to test his mettle.
Oh, so it, like, ended up being like a double bluff.
Yeah. So...
Wow.
He ended up giving his daughter away into sex slavery.
Jeez. So he himself is corrupt and evil.
And stupid.
And stupid.
Later, the senator, the wife had killed herself already by this point. The senator tells his wife the truth. She responds by committing toaster bath.
Oh.
About it.
Yeah.
The senator gets the message about his daughter's location, and almost more like out of embarrassment, the senator hires Joe to save the girl because he thinks someone that he knows raped his daughter.
Oh, and he doesn't want that to get out.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want that to get out, and he can't stand someone knowing what his situation is, or just someone being aware, like not even like any like political ramifications.
He doesn't care about his daughter. He cares that someone will know what he did to his daughter.
Yeah, he's ashamed, which he should be.
Wow.
So he wants them dead too, but it turns out that the person had already killed themselves because they had a lot of guilt for being a pedophile.
Right.
So the senator saw this was actually stupid to be fucking with the mob.
Now you learn your lesson.
Yeah. So he calls them to apologize and try to fix things. So he resells his daughter back into sex slavery again.
Oh, yeah. Leopard meat face.
Yeah, and tries to off Joe. Because Joe knows too much, and he's fucked with the mob, so now the mob is just like, well, it doesn't matter why he got involved, we gotta fucking kill him.
Yeah, right.
Joe, after learning all of this, asks for the girl's location, and he gets told, so he raises the hammer and caves in the senator's skull.
Right.
And that's actually where the book ends.
What?
Yeah, kind of bothersome.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really short.
And as far as I know, there's not a sequel. I wish, it would go into it. But the movie goes on from this point.
Oh.
The movie, the weird thing about the movie, the movie made the girl autistic, I think.
Okay.
And I'm not entirely sure why, because when Joe first saved her, she was counting as like a trauma response because, she's like trying to count the seconds until it's over. Mm-hmm. And she's like counting forward, which makes sense. But then in the movie, she's counting backwards.
Oh.
Like reasonlessly, like counting down to I don't know what. Like
Right.
It seems not totally connected with the sexual assault that happens to her.
Right.
Which it might still be like a dissociation thing, but I don't know.
It just wasn't clear about it in the movie.
Yeah. Kind of seems like the movie made her autistic for like no reason or just severely psychologically broken. I couldn't really tell.
Oh, okay.
It seemed autism coded, and I'm not entirely sure. I could be wrong about that.
When was the movie made?
2017?
Okay, so fairly recently then.
Yeah. Joe finds where the girl is at the end of the movie, and everyone's already dead.
Oh, how?
The girl.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. She killed an entire house of people, and then she's just sitting at the dinner table, cutting into her food, just covered in blood. And it's really weird because at this point, Joaquin Phoenix comes in, and Joaquin Phoenix for this movie looks really weird. Like, he is a bizarre kind of fit.
Uh-huh.
Because, when he's got clothes on, he just looks like regular schlubby 40-year-old guy.
Yeah, he just looks like a normal guy.
Right. But then in the movie, he takes his shirt off, and he is like still kind of chubby, but like a tanky kind of chubby. Like he's got like a...
Is he like Will Shatner?
I don't know. I don't know what Will Shatner
Did you ever
like.
see him shirtless in the original series? Because he had that kind of stocky build that was not fat, but not slim.
Yeah. So for this, he's got like weird definition in places, but he's still got kind of the big belly, but also he's got those cum gutters. It's really confusing.
Maybe they did very intense body makeup.
I don't... From what I'm told, that is a runner's body or something.
Oh.
So he looks a little bit overweight, but he's really fit looking, and it looks really intimidating in the movie.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it's really bizarre.
But why does he take his shirt off?
I can't remember. Like, I legitimately can't remember, but I remember he had a shirt off, and I was like, he looks real strange.
Huh.
I just kept thinking about that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So he picks up the girl. She's covered in blood, and I guess they wash themselves off. Next scene is them at a diner, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next.
How old is the girl?
13?
So she's a child.
Yeah.
And now her parents are dead. Mm-hmm. And she's traumatized from rape.
Yeah.
And he daily contemplates suicide.
Uh-huh.
And he's going to help her figure out what to do with her life.
He's going to try, I guess.
Okay.
So she doesn't know. She doesn't answer. She just gets up and goes to the bathroom. Joe, grabs his gun because he's had a gun on him the entire time, the entire movie pretty much. And he just sits straight up, opens his mouth, and blows his brains out.
Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh. It's really it's a really intense thing because that's really what gripped my attention because I only watched the last 10 minutes of the movie because I fell asleep before the movie even started and legally put it on.
Wow.
And I caught that last 10 minutes and I didn't understand what the fuck was happening. I knew there was a lot of intensity going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, he blows his brains out and covers the other people in the diner with blood and viscera, and everybody's just ignoring it. They're just going on. Everybody's happy. And then it turns out that he had just laid his head down and was just dreaming this. And that's the movie's little cue of saying, yeah, he's thinking about killing himself right now.
Okay.
Very dramatically.
She doesn't come out of the bathroom and be like, the only adult around who was helping me is now dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she comes out and he's just got his head laid down on the table and she's just like, let's go. So they're all each other has and they're going to do something. It ends on a more solid note than the book, I think.
Yeah, because, even dealing with custody, legal issues, documents,
I mean, there's no one to fight her on it because her parents are dead.
but he has no legal right to her.
Yeah.
But if he does all this undercover shit, he probably has access to ways to get documents.
Yeah,
and
he's got
paperwork.
fake IDs and stuff like that he uses while he's on the job.
But he is not someone who should be parenting a traumatized 13-year-old.
No, probably not.
But I guess with that gap in his life of his mother being dead, he has no reason not to anymore.
Yeah.
And she might be the only reason not to now. So he might cling on to her for that.
Yeah, I think that's what the movie goes for.
Okay.
Is what I'm feeling. But yeah, that was just it's a really simple short story that I really, really like. It's a lot of intensity. I think part of the reason I like it is because I don't understand why I like it. Like there's
Me
a
with
lot
my
of
deep analysis and
Yeah.
this and that, and you're just like, yeah, I like it.
There's like a lot. It's really intense. There are definitely things that I am cognizant that I like about it.
Is it visceral? Like the writing is really good and makes you feel it?
Yeah, it's really intense, and I like that about it.
Did you have any quotes for us or anything?
No, like nothing is really like super quotable.
Okay.
Like it's pretty much very matter of fact. Like what happens in the situation and how people are handling it is much more the what's going on. Like
Okay.
Joe is just very to the point. Like a part I skipped over entirely was he's got like a secondary handler that takes calls for him from McCleary because he's like super really paranoid. Like he can't stand being on a bus full of people because everyone is always talking on their cell phone. So his solution to this problem is he walks around with a jammer in his pocket.
Geez.
So anytime he's on the bus, he can just turn on his jammer and nobody
Can use
talk
their
on the
phone.
phone, and it's just silent and nice.
Wow.
Which also plays into the book because no one can call the police on him because he's, or at least within like 20 yards or something like that. So if anyone witnesses him killing someone with a hammer, they can't immediately call the police.
Wow. Also, it shows more of his control freak thing. Because a bunch of these things have implied an intense need for control.
Yeah, because he absolutely has no control when he's a kid. He's also got like a lot of guilt. Like when his mom dies, he goes back and reflects that I've never been able to protect her in any way.
Right, because he was the child in
Right.
those instances.
But like one thing he would do whenever his dad was getting ready to beat the shit out of him, he would run away and hide, and he had like several good little hiding spots his dad could never find him on. But if he couldn't find the son to beat,
He'd go beat the mom.
he'd go beat the mom. And Joe would be hiding and listening and reflecting, she's getting beaten because I'm too afraid to get beaten for her.
Right.
So he's got like a lot of guilt and stuff tied in with his mom.
So it sounds like rather than being an outward journey of the things he does, it's mostly an internal.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like in his head. And really, really interesting.
He doesn't make a lot of the connections, like actively, like the narrator just tells the reader what is actually happening, or like the root
Right.
cause of all this stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a really strong story. I like this author. I read another book that he did, and it was also really good. I feel like it was a much more fleshed out version of this. I thought about doing that one for this, but I
Was
wanted
that the
to-
one that you said was like a second in a series and made you bummed out?
Right, so I was wrong about that.
Oh.
It's the second in a totally separate series. It's not
Okay.
attached to this one at all, except that,
Okay.
it's the same author.
Because you were like, I can't do a Bibli-Otomy for the second in a series.
Yeah.
Because that would just kind of mess up all of the bases from the first one.
Yeah, but that one's called The Wheel of Doll, and it's really good. It does, like, all the work of establishing a really good, strong relationship between, like, the two characters. Like, structurally, the story is about the same, but it takes a lot more time to actually establish a lot of that stuff. and it's got a better mystery. It's really good.
Oh, okay. So it's like a thriller kind of thing?
Yeah, it's more thriller than this one, I think.
This
Which
one's just bloodbath.
Yeah, this one's just kind of really intense and violent.
Right.
But yeah, I really like it.
Got
Definitely
an
an A.
An A.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's a good Christmas present to us to be able to do 2 good books. So
this one's really short because the other one we're doing this month is really long.
Next time, you'll get to hear my take on Wicked by Gregory Maguire. And that episode ended up being 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So we had to get this one turned around really fast. But hopefully you guys will enjoy both for our break. Our break from the bad books. So Merry Christmas, Bam Bam.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Bugs.
And I hope everyone has a wonderful season. Happy holidays. All the presents and chocolate and happiness you can possibly have.
And for Christmas, I'm gonna get you a hammer for your kids, so you can really inspire fear within them, and then they can go to save children in sex trafficking rings.
I will get you therapy.
Yay! Finally.
So until next time.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye.